Today, we're filming with Freya. I thought to start the interview to do a little bit of a quick fire questions, just to get into it and So,
Cool.
First one, favourite medium?
Clay.
Drink of choice?
Porn star martini. If I'm allowed to say porn. It's fun. I don't watch porn.
Pen or pencil?
Pen that you can smudge.
Tea or coffee?
I've actually got into coffee. It has to be really good coffee or nice tea. Both.
Sweet or savoury?
You're more into savoury now, actually.
Abstract or figurative?
Can we do both?
Yeah. Summer or winter?
I'd have to push for summer on that one.
Minimalist or maximalist?
I'd say less is more until more is more.
We're in your studio.
We are.
When you get in here, is there, what's the first thing that you do?
Sit down on the sofa. Yeah, I just sit down and just think for a bit. And if I haven't already thought what I'm doing on the way in, or just regate. Sometimes I just sit still and just reflect, or just what am I going to do first?
Do you put anything on? Do you have any music?
I've always got headphones on, actually.
And is it music, podcasts?
Both. It depends on, I flip between the two. Sometimes just nothing, or sound.
And have you been here for a long time? Is it a space that you feel very comfortable in here? Is that something very important?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I suppose the next step would be to get, along with a house, a workspace that I had a bit more freedom in. This is quite a confined space, and in many sense I kind of squeezes the juice out. It squeezes the nourishment out of me to make this work in this space, because it's not, if I was in a luscious, inspiration has to come from somewhere. So, but I am comfortable in here, and I think it's served me really well, and I'm really appreciative to have it point blank.
And that nourishment that you're talking about, when you get out of this space, what's your process to get there? How do you do that in this space?
Well, I think to start off with, it feels more like a second home, even though I don't dress the space, or I don't put a lot of time. I'm quite raw with my space, all the way through university. I never used my studio. I always feel like I'm on the move, but because it feels like it's been in my family for so long, because my dad is upstairs, that family feeling just allows me to relax and be me, just so that I can produce the work that I want to without too much pressure.
Do you let anybody come in here? I mean, I'm here today.
No, I don't. I say that, but all the film crews come in.
But is it quite a closed private space? Because I know a lot of artists, they keep their studios for themselves. I'm very grateful to be here today. But
it's a bit of a cave.
Yeah,
it is. I get it. I mean, upstairs, because I teach in that space, so it's mopped 5 times a day. It's all, the decks are always cleared after every session, because sessions every day. So it's a very different atmosphere. But in here, I suppose I prefer that people don't come in. And if people ask, I say, actually, no. And I think I had to learn to say no, because people were coming in, and because it's such a mess, and I leave it such a mess. I'm always in a working progression in the middle of something. People come and stand on things, do things. And one little thing, it's not their fault, but they just, could mess up a whole show for me. I think I'd prefer to just have a solitary confinement, and the privacy to get as messy as I need. For me, it's really, really important, and I think I just, I get annoyed if I'm not allowed to just have that. I think have that privacy to just be messy and stuff.
do you then get a lot of inspiration from your environment that you've created here, or how do you do it? If you could tell us about it.
How do I actually do that? Well, I think imagination is key. So the process of making like one of these formations, for example, I'll think about maybe the essence of it, why I'm doing it, why I want to do it, what it's exuding, and then I'll try and kind of work backwards and might do a little sketch or whatnot, put the key elements in, and then I'll maybe spend a month or two practicing that shape or pushing it to the final product. But each push forward becomes a completely different version of what you were going to create. It was a completely different thing. So, and I think that's part of my methodology, is just to kind of have splint-offs from each idea.
So you kind of have it's a bit of a free process that you, when you don't go into it being, this is exactly what I'm going to create.
Yeah, no, I'm 50% intuitive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say.
And in that process, though, then how do you know when a work's done? Like, how do you know that you've got to that point?
Yeah, I suppose, you don't until you're there. You just, and I think I've learned over the years to know when to stop, the discipline of like stepping back and being like, look, if you stay in the studio for another minute, get out. I have to talk to myself like that all the time. Like if I'm a tiny bit hangry or tired or sloppy, you know what I mean? I can't have that sloppy, especially when I don't clean up my studio. You know what I mean? I'm literally walking around like on my tiptoes going, don't touch that, don't touch that, get out. Sometimes it's, especially like is certain bone dry stages, they're really fragile and stuff. So
with the material that you use, with the clay that you use, is there a specific type of clay that you kind of verge towards, or is it just whatever comes?
At the moment, I mean, I'm always generally using like the recycled clay from, whether it's from students that have been using it or myself or my dad, whatever. I've always got a bin of recycled stoneware, and it's got a bit of grog, a bit of grit, which is usually a strong texture to work with. It holds like dynamic forms. I've also got like this beautiful red to black clay that I got from a tile company, and it's got like big lumps of iron in it. It's very raw.
Once you bring the work out into the world, what is that process like? You
have conversations with the gallerist, and you're supposed to plan these things. Like, okay, you've got a show in a year, so can you make work, take your time and do. It never happens. But the process starts, with planning, and because with ceramics, I find I just need excess time to kind of to do more playing really, and the enjoyment of the process of making, and then the work produces from that. So, but that was, I made quite a big body of work for that particular show, and I had two galleries representing me in a different narrative. I was working with my dad on a body of work, and then I had my personal journey with the other gallery. So it was quite interesting how that worked.
And can you tell us like how you found that people react to ceramics?
Yeah, I think it kind of does this in society, because maybe like 20 years ago it was on a low, and then we had all the colleges had shut down, all the ceramic schools there was no funding, and then the TV show, The Great Pottery Throwdown, came out, and that seemed to just boom the whole industry, and that has been really successful in pushing the craft into the mainstream and making it really easy and accessible, and just like the Bake Off, it's just quite entertaining as well. Mm-hmm. And really educational, and I just loved it when it first came out. I was like, oh my god, I was like, thank you, And I applied and I was like, even if I don't get on, I'm just so grateful you're doing this and da-da-da. Anyway, I got onto the second series and I had my little meltdown moments. Had a great time. But yeah, it has changed a lot. And I also think it kind of just naturally would counteract that sort of balancing act of using technology so intensely in society. And as that will continue to increase, we just also need to use our hands and smell the earth along the way. Otherwise we'll become too... It's literally just a health and well-being thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you need it.
You've gone into the wider art world of the business side of things. It would be interesting to kind of hear your experience in that. With a lot of artists coming up today who are ceramicists, not really knowing how to navigate that world.
When I was studying, I was blown away by how it was just like cut to the chase. This whole art thing just seemed to be about money. Like every show we went to, there was something in the feeling of how art is portrayed in these galleries, and even in art school. And it saddened me. I was like, oh wow, this is all just about money. And it really threw me back. I was about 18, 19, and I was one of the youngest in the year at the time. And then I thought, okay, well maybe I'm just not ready. Maybe I need to be a mature student to school. I don't know, but I thought, no, my gut tells me this wasn't what I thought it was. I thought art was about creativity and oozing that creativity for a positive effect on the planet for everyone. But instead I found art to be a little bit about trickery for some reason. There was just something a bit backwards and inside out, and I could see, oh no, it's a shame, but it's not just the art industry. This is just where we are on the planet, and kind of like where we're just stuck at. You get to there, you think, oh, okay, it's a different ball game now. It's not about how well you can paint, not about how beautiful you see the world in your perspective. It's about how much you can get for this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. It changed a bit.
And how did you find that you could then navigate it? Because you're in it and you're in exhibitions and you're doing these things. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, good question. I think because that was such a strong, almost trauma in my education career, it stayed with me. So that story, that narrative, I've used to do how I wanted to do it all along, type thing. And I have to keep asking myself why I'm doing this and what it's for, and just why, actually. Just keep asking yourself why. And
so if you were, reflecting back and you were like, you'd met your younger self, what advice would you give her today, looking back and with taking that kind of into...
They don't know what they're talking about. That's what I would have told myself. Like, there's no right and wrong. There's actually no rules in this game. There's actually, in this life, there's actually, the rules are pretty minimal. And, I think we're really confined in education to pass exams and do things for a systematic cause. But I think we've got to remember that the world is actually your oyster. And, just go back to the origin of why you're doing it, and it goes back to humanity. And I kind of just felt like being an art student was just learning about being human, really.
And did you have, in that time as an art student, any kind of mentors that brought you to that, or did you have to learn it all on your own, or did you have anybody along the way that kind of helped you to discover that?
I was just struggling to be me, in all honesty. It wasn't, I think everything kind of comes from that point. So I spent a lot of my time in my 20s trying to feel comfortable in my skin, just doing, like, I did loads of interesting courses about self-development, you could say in a broad way, or about learning to be human, just basic stuff, like, after university I said, Dad, can you just give me some pocket money, I'll just teach, I'll just, do studio work, and I'll just get stuck back in that way. And I just wanted to learn and give and share and teach and learn that way, and just hone in the important, that energy exchange of like giving and taking and sharing space, and that's what I wanted to do for like the first couple of years, and then I was like just developing my work always along the side anyway. But yeah. And
did you ever have a kind of light bulb moment where you're like, that's it, this is what I want to do, this is who I am? When did it come?
Light bulb moment. Well, I think it was probably because after university I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't want to work in an office. There's no way. I don't want to be a manager anywhere. I was literally just like, well, what am I going to do? I might as well. What can I do? I can do arts. So that's what I was stuck with.
Well, cheers to that, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. That was a light bulb moment, yeah. Well, let me just do. I said, well, why am I trying to do anything other than what I can do? It's what I enjoy, and that was it. I just gave in to myself, I suppose.
But do you find it's also, so you didn't think much about it, did you just jump into it? Because some people think that it can be quite a risk to do.
I had nothing to lose. I had nothing, seriously. If you knew me 15 years ago, you would see I had nothing to lose, honestly. God, apart from that attitude, which I have lost now. Turn it into that. But yeah, I didn't see it as a risk. I grew up with a mum that made like big ships in my living room as a workshop. Wow. I'm like, Mum, can I sit on the sofa, or can we wash up? Or I didn't really. I think now that I look back, I didn't really have I maybe had quite a difficult. Very open. Both my parents were artists. I just went for it. I didn't have anything precious to hold me back. Both my parents probably just kind of, you just really do what you can. Like when you're an artist, especially my dad, he didn't financially, it was really difficult for the most of his artistic career. And I think you just learn you're literally trying your best in life. Like there's no one could do anything for you. You just squeeze the best out of yourself somehow. I think creativity is also about doing your best, finding ways. You just keep trying.
Looking to the future, looking forward, how do you where do you see yourself going? Where do you see your practice going?
Well, I've got a business partner called Gemma, and she works with me on doing these sort of bespoke pottery and yoga retreats. Okay. So moving this ceramic practice from this little enclosed studio internationally, we're now just partnering up with lots of different practitioners, whether they're like yogis or movement creators or different sort of artists and stuff. And we've been doing like these clay dance events.
Okay.
It's very improv and dance and like flesh orientated, embodying. Mm-hmm. It's all like tied into well-being and stuff like that. So that's like a slightly different avenue.
Do you feel like now in the future people are much more engaged with ceramics because of things like the throwdown, or that they want to like take it in? Like, how do you see it?
I think people just are more open-minded to sort of trying new experiences, maybe. Mm-hmm. People are more experience-driven rather than wanting to buy material, you know, a little bit more so. The appreciation of that is there.
And, you know, for people who don't have that much knowledge about art or about ceramics, where do you think they can go to, like, you know, see the best ceramics, or how should they kind of, if they see your works, read your works, like how do you think people should go about it?
If you're interested, there's V&A, there's loads of ceramic studios in London, and fairs all the time. There's loads of ceramic fairs all the time. CPU, I could list. Do you want me to listen?
I could listen.
Well, I mean, Instagram is really good for the ceramic community, I'd say.
And do you think that, just in regard to, you know, using social media for ceramics, how have you seen that change things? Do you find that, is there, you know, are there trends that you feel people follow, or do you follow, or do you very much stick to what you do, and do you just like to put it out there?
Yeah, there are trends. I think there's always trends in everything, yeah, especially in the art world. It's a bit like fashion. Sometimes it's nice to lean into a trend, and sometimes it's really not, and that's fine. I just follow my own flow, really. I don't really spend a lot of time scrolling, huge amount of time, just because I don't have the time. But I do find it inspiring when I am on there. There's just so much to see. It's overwhelming half the time.
If there was, you know, any artist that you could collaborate with of your choice, who would it be? Or anyone to look out for?
There's so many, and I've got a handful that are upstairs in the studio. There's an apprentice called Romy. She's 16, and in most people's eyes she's already there. She can do skillfully, she can do anything now. She's amazing. She's got natural sort of ability in her. There's loads, I don't know their names, but there's so many, like creative clay artists.
And if there was anyone alive or dead that you would love to be in an exhibition with?
Yes, but I can't tell you. What else could I say? I'd say watch this space, because I think we're going to collaborate with some really cool artists soon. But I've always loved like Kate Malone's work. She's such a gem. And I've always loved my dad's work. I've always loved his work. That's why I'm doing it. His figurative work was always really inspiring for me, and just kind of captured something magical. That intrigued me. But yeah.
And just to help, if there was like one piece of advice that you would give an artist or a ceramicist at art school today, who is at art school and maybe feels that they're not getting the advice or the kind of information that they want to get out there into the world, what would you say to them?
Follow the bits that you find exciting, and I think just run with that, and see that as a starting point. That's more than enough. I think maybe always try and think grasping for too much, but you just need to start with a little bowl and take it from there. And then you can go through the techniques, just go through it systematically, and just take your time and enjoy the journey. With clay, it's all about the process, really. You know, you spend so long learning how to do that technique, and then you spend that amount of time making your final vase, and then it's finished. And then you just sit there and look at it. But it's all that time in the making process and training your physical body to make it. You know, whether that's with your attitude or your physical strength, arm strength and time. So I would just start simple and start with your favourite bit. Yeah, your favourite bit. Just go easy.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. I'm a bit drunk.